This part of the presentation is going to focus on a child's transition from primary to secondary school setting. We all want for our children a smooth and successful transition from their primary school. It is an incredibly scary time for some children. In this section, we're going to focus on how you can help prepare your child for this transition in their life. We're going to focus on 5 areas of adjustment, the first being social adjustments that your child will need to be making. You can facilitate all of these through your support. Find out who is going to the same school as your child. Will it be familiar peers? Will it be friends? Or are they going to a completely new school where they won't know anyone? It's really important that they know who is going to the same school as they are, because that person of familiarity can be a source of comfort for them. It's who they know. It's who they are familiar and feel secure with. A lot of schools provide a circle of friends or a buddy system. At the moment, this will have been done virtually through Google and Microsoft Teams. However, if you can encourage your child to do this virtually, when they eventually get to school and meet their friends face to face, things will be so much easier for them, having already met them through screen. Some schools are providing safe e-buddies and friendly face videos for students to access. Some of the e-buddies will talk about school, some of them will talk about themselves, and they just give that open door for our children to be able to access, to know what they're going into. Some parents might think about strategic socialization. A lot of parents have to engineer social interaction opportunities for their children. They have to engineer those friendships. This is okay. It's about providing opportunities to expose our children to socialization. As shown in the previous slide, think about using a countdown calendar so that your child, with your support, are counting down the days to school, so they're very much aware of what will happen and when it will happen. The second area of adjustment we're going to look at are the adjustments made in the environment. It's important to practice the journey to and from school. Some of your children will be walking to school because you live a short distance from the place. Some will be going in a car, some will be going on coach or bus. It depends completely on your preference and what you feel your child will be able to cope with. Make sure you practice the journey with them so that they know little landmarks along the road, so that they're aware of familiar signposts and places. This will help them remember where they're going and certainly help them with the route. Can you draw the route with them at home and write down and make note of some familiar landmarks that they might come across? Almost mapping their journey out for them, but using visuals too. COVID restrictions have really rendered our ability to visit secondary schools. However, I know that virtually there have been some transition meetings with parents and schools. This is really, really important because your child must be familiar with the school site. Some schools offer video tours as well as photographs and websites of the school. There's often now Facebook, Instagram and other social media links to the school that are accessible for you and your child. Something called sound walks from this link, if you would like to access it, is really, really useful. It shows a map of a school and on that map are red dots. And what you can do is click on a red dot and you will hear familiar sounds that happen in school, such as bells going, such as hustle and bustle. It's great for preparing your child for the sensory issues that they might encounter when they go to secondary school. Nowadays, we can look at maps, Google Street View, to see where the school is in relation to other buildings and where the child lives. You're able to see different parts of the school Secondary schools tend to be split on different sites sometimes, and certainly have different buildings for different subjects. So it's excellent to see it from a 360-degree view. The complex communications team or your child's school, primary or secondary, may be providing a photo booklet of the school for your child to look at. Photo booklets should show key areas in the school, such as toilets, the library, playground, cafeteria, hall, classrooms, ICT suites. It's really important to think about unstructured times. Think about break time and lunchtime arrangements. What would your child prefer to do? Where would they prefer to be? Do they prefer to be outside, pacing, isolated, but needing that time out in order to recover from an exhausting time in the classroom? Or would they rather socialise? Some schools offer lunch and break time clubs or access to the library. You know your child best. What would they prefer to do? Continuing to think about the transition from primary to secondary school setting for our children and the environmental adjustments that need to be considered. Can your child have access to maps, videos and photographs of key areas in the school, such as hallways, cafeteria, stairways, toilets, the library? It's really, really important that if your child struggles with busyness and with crowds, that they have access to an early exit card, which might mean that they're allowed to show the card to a teacher and leave a lesson 5 minutes earlier than everyone else, so as to avoid the crowds and the hustle and bustle. Devise a treasure hunt or a hide and seek game that can be facilitated by using the school's website. Encourage your child to look through the website to find different things that could be in a treasure hunt. Again, this is encouraging them to navigate areas of the school and to familiarise themselves with it. We talked earlier about keeping the school in mind. It's important to provide opportunities for discreet reminders of the school, such as, discussions with family, accidentally driving past the school, having the school website open on a computer screen in the kitchen that your child might walk past and notice, having the school's brochure just propped up in the lounge on the table. Have the uniform, shoes, bag, equipment discreetly placed around your home environment in order to prepare your child gradually for this transition. Use the obvious. Have those direct conversations about the school. Identify what your child is looking forward to, what they're excited about, as well as what their worries might be. Now we're going to look at the adjustments that can be made through the curriculum. There have been opportunities for some children that schools have enabled for virtual learning through Google Classrooms, through interactive lessons, Zoom and Microsoft Teams. If you are not sure whether this is available, ask the school, look on the school website. There have been videos of key staff and pupils demonstrating how to use planners and timetables. In the current climate that we're living in, so much learning, so much information is being shared electronically and virtually. It is so important that this continues. We mentioned uniform earlier. Are there any concessions that your child might be able to have around uniform? If they are tactile defensive, if they don't like certain materials and textures on their skin, if they make them incredibly uncomfortable, would school consider any slight variations to the school uniform? Have the uniform around. Take the child with you when you're trying on the uniform. If they like the feel, that's okay. Cut labels out if they don't. Oversew seams if you need to. Have that uniform ready for them to wear before they go to school. Can they practice wearing it? Can they tolerate it for longer periods every day before they actually start wearing it for school? Help them organise their bags, equipment and books using visual checklists, and just making sure you monitor how they're able to do this. Again, thinking about checklists and planners, can you provide homework checklists for your child? When they use their planners in school, do they know how to use them? Planners are excellent for writing down homework, jotting down little ideas, and actually helping your child to organise themselves. Some schools have colour-coded maps of the school site, timetables, planners, and books and folders that are all colour-coded. This makes it far easier for a child to match up a colour with an area within the school, the lesson that is on their timetable, what is saying in their planner, and actually the books and the folders that are needed for that particular lesson. Can they create a research project at home about the school? This will encourage them to familiarise themselves in a lot more detail around the school. Are there any virtual lockdown mini lessons or challenges available on the school website that schools are putting on for pupils? And thinking about emotional adjustments. Again, the common thread throughout the whole presentation is encouraging children to share any thoughts, feelings and anxieties with you safely. Can they create an All About Me booklet or a pupil passport or one-page profile? It can be a simple and easy flyer that contains information about your child and includes things such as what your child likes, what your child struggles with, what they respond to. Ensure that you continue to use objects of transition and transference for your child. So many of our children will experience separation anxiety from you, as well as the daunting thought of going to secondary school. Can they have a discrete object that reminds them of you, such as a small piece of fabric with your perfume on it, or your body spray on it, or just the smell of your washing powder? Not to sit there with all the time, but just to have in their bag if they feel they need some reassurance. We've talked about social stories and social articles to support that transition process and certainly to promote emotional well-being. Is there a key person of trust available within the school that your child can access for those check-in times? It doesn't have to be throughout the day regularly. It can be morning, lunchtime or after school. It can be just after school. Sometimes it's nice to check in at the end of the day with someone in school just to unpick any issues that might have occurred before they come home.